Hi, my name is Michaela Smith, and today I will be discussing the issue that is childbirth within America. Um, some background on childbirth within the United States is that the United States has the highest child mortality rate amongst the other developed worlds, being the fact that the United States has such a developed healthcare system and has some of the best doctors in the world. Why do we have the most children dying amongst our developed peers? It's just a confusing subject in the fact that we care so much about having the newest, the greatest, the latest, but when it comes to giving birth, we don't care at all. Um, some some statistical information is that every year 50,000 women are severely injured during childbirth and 700 die within the United States. That being such a high number for a developed country, why are we not talking about this for our women and our mothers within the United States, not knowing this information and the risk that they have giving birth within America? Um, Additionally, from how we got to this point for childbirth within America is that as a capitalistic country, the practice of childbirth is heavily consumerized, as the goal of our hospitals is not to make sure the patients are better, it is to flip the bed to make profit. As our hospitals are for profit and not governmentally funded, it is about using insurance to get money to make money. And it doesn't matter who's paying it in the end, it's just a bill. So this goes into giving birth, obviously, as it's one of the most regularized things within a hospital, and for it to be all about profit and not about the health and well-being of the mother and the child is disgusting. So going into this issue being impacted by gender inequity, the fact that childbirth is a women's issue does not assist it in being improved. For the fact that if men were giving birth to children, giving birth would be free, as it's such a big thing within a woman's life to give birth, but for it to still be so expensive as we live in the patriarchal system, there's just the inequity of this. Oh, women can deal with that, but yet there's the lack of representation for women to deal with it systemically within the America and the governmental system. Making this a classist issue, the cost of having a child within the United States is so very expensive. On average, the cost of giving birth without any complications during pregnancy can be $10,800, not including prenatal and postnatal care, which can make the bill rack up to 30 grand. And don't even think about having a premature baby, because being in the natal intensive care unit can get you up to 100 grand within a bill, which your insurance doesn't want to pay for, so they'll hand it off to you happily. And it's so difficult in the fact that there's such a risk with childbirth, and if you can't afford to possibly pay the bills, you can't afford to have a child, so people don't. going into another issue when it comes to class is the fact that maternity leave within the United States is 12 weeks unpaid, and paternity leave, if you get any, is 4 to 6 weeks unpaid. Standard nationally. And this is such a bargain for people if they can't afford to pay to have a child, let alone they can't afford to not work. But yet, people within the United States want to judge when parents can't spend time with their newborn children, but they don't know that they can't afford it. This seeps into people of color are usually forced to deal with more pain and more suffering when it comes to childbirth, as their pain is not highly tolerated, highly understood within the hospital system. So the complications that could be for a person of color's childbirth leading towards cesarean section would be non-existent, but since there's pain, they'll just push it all the way to actively saying, oh, baby's in danger, let's go C-section, as it's just a way to do an invasive surgery, gain more money, more profits, faster procedure, and a new bed. So there's a lack of care for people when it comes to race and their concerns of being in a hospital and wanting the safest possible route for them and their children, but they don't care. They just care about the money that they're going to make. Within America, honestly, there is a lack of social movements and organizations about healthcare for childbirth and focusing on childbirth in general and the cost of it. It's confusing, to say the least, as there is such the great divide of socialized healthcare within America and taking a handout when healthcare and the right to healthcare is an innate right to living, but it's a handout when every other developed country has it and it's normalized. An issue that was brought to my attention about childbirth is that people are actively using their vacation days of paid vacation and paid sick leave and the accepted unpaid to have more time with their children besides the 12 weeks of unpaid, so they can kind of make it work. This comes into the fact of scheduling birthing within America, and the timing has to be perfect so you can actually spend time with your child and create a bond that you would have if, like, it wouldn't be possible any other way if you wouldn't take your time to save up everything you've earned throughout the year through work for creating your vacation days and your sick leave and applying it so you can have a couple, maybe a week and a half or two of paid leave so you can actually care for your child, your newborn baby, without being stressed of work. Something that I can believe that should be done is the regulation of birth within the United States. The regulation and the spread of information. So there should be more information about alternative birthing options, such as midwives. As I am a strong advocate for midwives, like if I was able to have a baby, I would go to a midwife preferably first, as our hospital systems are corrupted by greed and capitalistic thought. So if there's a way that during your prenatal care or even beforehand, if one's interested in having a child, having their doctor and their primary care provider to discuss the options of a midwife. As midwives used to be in hospitals, but as they don't make enough money, they got pushed out. So not many people know about them anymore. As the cost of a midwife is way cheaper and it's a great alternative for individuals who need a cheaper experience, want a more incorporated emotional experience with giving birth. On average, a midwife can cost up to $3,500 to $6,000, including all the prices for pregnancy, labor, birth, postnatal care, about 6 weeks of postnatal care. And if you have private insurance, this cost might be partially covered and you just have to pay a copay for it. As like this information is not discussed within many Americans' minds, and it's absurd to me because so many Americans are forced to have private insurance as we don't have a federal socialized governmental insurance option. Another possibility for improving the problem would be for federal legislation about paid maternal and paternal leave like other developed countries. In Europe, mothers get 6 months of paid maternal leave and another 6 months of unpaid optional leave if they would like to take it, offering the entire year with their newborn, and they're still able to go back to their positions after that year, which is just an absurd thought to Americans, thinking that you're like wasting your time and money paying for a mother to bond and live with a newborn child that they had. Developed countries don't make their parents feel the penalty of having a child, as this child is just benefiting the country within the future by being a citizen. Another option that is not as likely to pass federally, as there's such the fear within the United States governmental system, is a socialized healthcare system, such as in Canada, as we saw within our film, Sicko. And just to have it be federalized and have it come out through your taxes for the stress of your healthcare to be removed, isn't that cost enough? There's the conceited American thought of you're paying for what you get, you earn everything on your own, you pull up your own bootstraps, but there's plenty of people that don't have boots. So to have federalized healthcare, it would be such an improvement for everybody overall, allowing the stress of not being able to afford a bill when it comes to having a child versus just getting better and being healthy and experiencing the bond of parental love towards a child. It's such an immense switch in the society. We are currently brainwashed to believe that the socialized healthcare is such a bad thing, but every other developed country in the world has it. So why are we supposedly the best country, but we won't incorporate that into our governmental system? Overall, this issue of birthing within America has allowed me to see and understand the influence of childbirth and the lack of focus on mothers that we have as Americans. The mothers that the mothers within the United States create the future for us, so why are we not there for them? Forcing our mothers to do the most convenient option for us within the hospitals is not the safest option, and it's allowing us to be distanced from the joy and love that comes within a relationship between parents and child, especially when it comes to newborns. So health within America, especially within childbirth, is more like a business than caring about health. And it's very apparent by the fact that we're just ignoring the cost and we're paying for it later, as there's so many other costs that could be avoided through being able to provide from the start rather than racking up the debt and not knowing what to do with it later. This is my discussion about giving birth within America. Thanks.